The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority makes some minor tweaks to its city bus routes. We're less than a week away from the preliminary election, and local creatives have a new free space to share their talents. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, September 14th, 2023. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. 2 weeks ago, the Southeastern Regional Transit Authority, SRTA, made changes to its routes in Fall River as part of its ongoing efforts to increase efficiency and provide for a better experience for all riders. The first change was a numerical one for local bus routes, going from a single-digit system to a three-digit one.
One of the big reasons is actually all the technology that we're bringing on board. Programming that with the same number in New Bedford and in Fall River can be somewhat cumbersome. And the fact of the matter is, again, that trying to communicate that to new passengers to our service is somewhat challenging. So going to a three-digit system where we made all the Fall River routes basically 100 numbers and the New Bedford routes 200 numbers helps simplify that for new passengers and for the deployment of our technologies. A perfect example of how this is complicated was that the intercity bus that connects both Fall River and New Bedford, which is often labeled as New Fall River, New Bedford, that bus, the number for that bus was number 9. And it came into Fall River where there was also the Bedford Street bus that was the number 9, and they shared a bus stop. So when you see that on a bus stop sign, it becomes very clear and apparent that having some uniqueness to each of the city's routes is very important for communicating to our passengers where you're going.
The authority also realigned some of its routes, eliminating deviations that were no longer needed.
The ultimate goal is to speed up the travel time for our passengers and hopefully have more reliability that the bus will be there when we publish that the bus will be there. So we had a number of deviations on our routes that would change throughout the day and didn't really have enough time to operate. So this really helps save in that area and doesn't force people to travel places where they're just not taking our bus. On the North Main bus, we had a deviation where a few times a day we'd go to the Stop and Shop warehouse. Unfortunately, their timing for their work shifts really didn't align very well with what we were able to deliver. And we had very, very light ridership. So 3 times a day we were going out there, and it's an extra 2 miles in one direction. So those extra 4 miles really take up a lot of time on those routes and can set back the on-time performance of the bus. Likewise with the Bay Street, we were trying to serve Battleship Cove, and ultimately we really weren't having any passengers take our service to Battleship Cove. So why would we extend a passenger's trip and force them to go through Battleship Cove when we could align the trip more concisely so that they can get through to where they're going?
SRTA also decided to terminate its Pleasant Street route, but riders on that line are still being served via another route.
It largely is duplicated by the intercity connection traveling between Fall River and New Bedford. The one aspect of that is not covered by the intercity service is connecting to Walmart. So while we did eliminate the Pleasant Street route that ran hourly, we shortened up the Rodman Street route, and that now runs every half hour where it used to run hourly as well. And that bus does connect through to Walmart. So people can still make those trips. It may be a little bit less convenient for those that live right on the Pleasant Street route, but we do have improved service on the Rodman Street to help make that connection to Walmart.
The recent changes are just the beginning of what SRTA has in store to make its service more effective. The authority is exploring the possible elimination of some bus stops on selective routes.
We've done the legwork on what that could look like. But again, right now in some places, especially for instance on South Main Street, you might see a bus stop at every single street corner. And if the bus has to stop at every single street corner, it takes a long time to get from the state line downtown. So if we could just eliminate possibly, for instance, every other bus stop, we could really speed up that trip. It wouldn't really reduce access to the bus system for our passengers.
The future of the Bank Street Armory was part of citizens' input at this week's City Council meeting. Developer Alan Macumber came forward to ask the council to decide the fate of his proposal to purchase the armory and convert it into a combination of market rate and affordable housing. Mr. Macumber says he was the only bidder to purchase the building and pledges to maintain the exterior of the structure, preserving its historical significance to the city.
I'm stepping to the plate. I'm investing $6 million in debt and equity. I'm going to spend 3 years negotiating a maze of historical preservation and housing programs to secure another $9 million to finish the job. In addition, the administration has asked me to make 20% of the apartments affordable. And with a preference for veterans, I agreed. There's a ton of redevelopment, architectural challenges, financial challenges, they're too numerous to mention in this particular project. I hope we can work together to really make the building stand for another century and be a sentinel to the gateway of the city of Fall River. And I'm in no way trying to burn my bridges tonight. I do a lot of work in the city, I really don't. I'm not lobbying for your vote one way or the other. I'm just simply requesting you take a vote, and that's what I'd ask. Thank you.
Mr. Macumber purchased and redeveloped the former Durfee Tech building, which is located across the street from the Armory. The council did not vote on the sale of the building during this week's meeting. The council did send to the Committee on Ordinances and Legislation a proposal by the Coogan administration to place restrictions on panhandling across Fall River. City Councilor Linda Pereira says the proposal was drafted based on what has passed in other communities.
You can't stop them from panhandling, but you can put restrictions on it. And this ordinance was done by looking at a lot of ordinances in other places. You know, you talked earlier, my colleague in seat number 2 talked earlier about people that are coming in and getting housing in front of our people, and I agree with her, that's unfair. But the same thing with this. If you are collecting on a corner because you have a dance studio and your team is going away for competition, or you're a baseball league, or the firefighters collecting on Labor Day, they all pay a permit to stand on the corner. But panhandling, they don't pay a permit. That doesn't make sense. There seems to be an injustice.
The council also gave its initial approval to an ordinance that would ban the use of single-use thin plastic bags. The Fall River municipal preliminary election is coming up this Tuesday. Election Commission Chair Ryan Lyons says narrowing the candidates for mayor and city council is now in the hands of the voters, either in person or absentee.
The polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And just in case, if you're not going to be in the city on election day, you can come to my office now and vote in person absentee. Those are for voters who will not be in the city on election day. You never know what might happen. You might realize all of a sudden, my gosh, a family emergency, you're going to be out of the city, a business trip, things do happen. So just in case, if you're not going to be in Fall River on election day, you can vote in person absentee here at my office.
Those who have received mail ballots must return them to the elections office, not your local polling place, by 8 p.m. on election day. Those arriving after that time will be deemed ineligible. So how many voters does Mr. Lyons feel will come out on Tuesday?
We've not had a preliminary for the City Council since 2015, so I'm going to be very optimistic, Keith, and say my prediction is 20%. I'm going to say that with a smile because I'm optimistic that the voters will get to the polls and participate on election day. So hopefully it'll be bigger than that, but my prediction is upwards of 20% for this preliminary.
We take our final look now at some of the candidates you are expected to see on Tuesday's ballot. Michael Vandal ran for mayor in 2021 and is back on the ballot this year. His platform includes introducing city residents to holistic dentistry.
I would keep a separate way of raising money for the city, keep it separate from the bank accounts of the city of Fall River as being the data holistic dentistry. Devoting my time and energy to keep all the different departments that need money separately. So the administration part of the job is to run the city. In my particular position is that I'm going to be transferring the company, Dentistry for the People, to the public. When I do that, I'd like to put that into this city. That will generate revenue. Besides doing the job as mayor of their own finances.
As the cost of living continues to rise in Fall River and South Coast Rail coming either sometime late year or early next, Mr. Vandal feels the train and businesses associated with it should contribute to get people back on their feet.
Some of their affiliates or their affiliates with the train station should be responsible for some of the rising rents. The homeless, you could take some of the city property, rebuild it, and keep it where you could do the housing for the poor or the people who cannot afford the housing. Then the other thing, in 85 years, going back 85 years ago, they used to call the Fall River Line. So the Fall River Line was taken down just before the train, just before the hurricane of 1938. So we would say that that would be another way of creating money for them to use the Fall River Line to go like New York, trade, stuff like that.
In the race for City Council, incumbent Brad Kilby is looking to be elected to another term with a focus on improving public safety.
Not only recruiting new officers, but also how difficult the job has become in terms of a changing population and not a full complement of law enforcement officers on the streets. The new legislation that was passed with regard to cameras and things like that, some of the negative publicity that our police officers get, which I think is very, very alarming to me. The police do hard work out there, We're a gateway city, as you know, one of the largest cities in the Commonwealth. And what goes along with that is more complex issues will hit us. So that is of concern to me.
Newcomer Joshua Texera once worked for the city of Fall River as a tradesman and would like a seat on the council, citing his experience as a small business owner and property manager.
The thing I can bring is my experience of running a business, numbers. You know, I've had a business for over 6 years before. Being a landlord, you know, I know the troublesomes of being a landlord in this time. Also a property owner. So I can bring, it's like a big trifecta. I've got all the aspects in one. You know, I have a business owner, landlord, and a homeowner. So I know all the troubles they face throughout the city between high rates of water, sewer, taxes, and unnecessary spending. So I know exactly how to balance things in all those events and issues that we have. Our budgets are high, you know, but at the end of the day, what are we getting for our dollar? So are our streets enough getting fixed? Make it look as if that everything that we're doing is making the people happy and accommodate for the balance of that rent or anything like that. Make sure everything's taken care of and well.
Paul Hart once served on the city council, currently is on the school committee, and is running to get back to council chambers. He's looking to return to a time when subcommittee meetings were held within city neighborhoods.
When I was on the city council, I don't know if it's going on right now, I think it is, but not as much as it should be. I was on the public safety committee and we would go, our public safety meetings, we'd go throughout the city to different neighborhoods throughout the city, because every neighborhood, it's a small town, small city we live in, but every neighborhood's different. And I thought it was very transparent that we did that. I can't remember who the other members were on that public safety committee, but we got a lot done. We got the neighborhood involved, the community policing involved, other department heads from the city hall, and we were all there to answer questions on anything from crime to a pothole or to something in the park. It was really productive.
All 3 candidates for mayor and 13 of the 19 candidates for city council recorded a candidate statement with us and took part in a sit-down interview, all of which can be found on our special Election 2023 webpage. Before you vote, go to frmedia.org/election2023. You'll also find a list of polling places. And join us Tuesday night as we and our colleagues at Fall River Government Television provide live coverage of the preliminary election results. We'll also have a recap on next week's show. We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Medical Personal Assistant and Medical Scribe. Primacare, located at 277 Pleasant Street, is looking for a full-time medical personal assistant and medical scribe, responsible for coordinating the schedule for the chief of pulmonary, as well as serving as medical scribe in the outpatient office at St. Anne's Hospital. Job number 196-16937. After-school program instructor. Atlantis Charter School, located at 991 Jefferson Street, is seeking a full-time after-school program instructor to create and develop appropriate lessons and organize group activities for students. Job number 196-13503. Quality Technician. Whirlpool Corporation, located at 88 Current Road, is looking for a full-time quality technician to inspect, accept, or reject products for durability, function, customer satisfaction, and overall quality. Job number 196-15480. Research Assistant. Star, located at 386 Stanley Street, is looking for a full-time research assistant. For more information, call 508-679-5222. L3 Harris, located at 275 Martin Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Senior Specialist Software Engineer. Job number 196-15019. Senior Specialist Electrical Engineer. Job number 196-15020. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
My name is Megan Rathman, and I am the Executive Director of Battleship Cove, which includes the Battleship Massachusetts destroyer Joseph P. Kennedy, submarine lionfish, 2 PT boats, 2 helicopters, a landing craft, and where I am today, the Fall River Maritime Museum. We are proud to be partnering with the Fall River Mass Memories Roadshow as they come for the very first time to Fall River, because since 1965 with the Battleship Massachusetts and 1968 here with the Fall River Maritime Museum, we have been preserving the stories not just of Fall River, but Massachusetts and the country as a whole. And we are so excited that Mass Memories Roadshow is coming to Fall River so that we can preserve these stories and bring them to a wider audience, and that everyone in the city can get involved and bring their little pieces of history from their family, and we can keep those stories going for generations to come. We collect items here in the Maritime Museum that have to do with Fall River and the South Coast. One of our biggest collections happens to be the Fall River line, which ran out of Fall River here, went all the way down to Manhattan. It brought the wealthy people we know in Newport, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, up to their summer homes, but it also was a lifeline for the residents of the city when they took their own trips. And also it was a huge employer for thousands of people in this city across its history. We also collect items to do with the military for our ships at Battleship Cove, and some of these stories are local to Fall River for the servicemen and women who served, who are from our own backyard, and we also tell the stories for the wider country for our servicemen and women. The easiest way to get a hold of us is to go to our website, which is www.battleshipcove.org, and from there you can find our links where you can contact us, reach out if you have an item or a photograph or something you'd like to donate or you'd like us to take a look at, and you can always give us a call as well at 508-678-1100. So Mass Memories Roadshow will be in Fall River September 16th from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. in the Hudner building, named for one of our local war heroes, Thomas Hudner. And we are incredibly excited to see you there. Come on down, park in the parking lot, come to that big red brick building, and we will be excited to hear your stories and capture your history.
Welcome back. Battleship Cove and public safety officers from the city of Fall River joined communities across the country this week, hosting a memorial ceremony on the 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. At the ceremony Monday, Fire Chief Roger St. Martin used the occasion to recite a passage on what those who lost their lives in the attack were thinking just prior to September 11th.
Yesterday, 22 years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for work in the morning. 343 firefighters went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. 60 patrol officers went to sleep in preparation for their morning patrol. 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for their morning shifts. None of them saw past 10 a.m. that day. In one single moment, life may be forever changed. You, as you live your life and enjoy the breaths you take today and tonight, before you go to sleep, in preparation for your life tomorrow, kiss the ones you love, snuggle a little tighter, and never take 1 second of your life for granted. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to remember, and please, never forget.
We'd like to thank our colleagues at Fall River Government Television for providing video of the September 11th memorial ceremony. The Fall River Arts and Culture Coalition, FRAC, and the One South Coast Chamber of Commerce cut the ribbon this week to open the Ignition Space, a free center for the community to host exhibitions, learning, and arts programming.
We have a physical space at 341 South Main Street. FRAC has moved into that space, and within that space we are looking for you to help us program it. It's about 700 square feet. We're looking for people to pitch. We'd love to host like a poetry slam. We'd love to host, I don't know, anything really. We would love to see what the community is looking to kind of like what their vision is. Would you like to do another like writing workshop? I mean, there's so many opportunities for this space. It's really kind of just blank, waiting for you to come in. So do visit thefrac.org. It's under our ignition section of the website, and it's called the Ignition Space because it's literally a space that we're looking to have you help us program.
We will wrap up FRC Media News after this.
Hi, my name is Taylor Silva. I'm the young adult librarian at the Fall River Public Library. The library is involved with the Massachusetts Memory Roadshow because we want to hear your history. Artifacts that the volunteers and people who are in charge of the Massachusetts Memory Roadshow, what they're going to be looking for is what's important to you, the person who is going to be going to the roadshow. It can be a picture of you and your grandfather in front of the visitors center at Heritage State Park, and you can talk about that, why that day is important or was important to you. We really, really want it to be community focused and really hear some really cool stories. I cannot wait to see all of you at the Massachusetts Memories Roadshow at Heritage State Park here in Fall River, Massachusetts on September 16th. It's going to be an all-day affair, and I think it's going to be a really cool program, and I hope to see you all there.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Delphine. Delphine is a 4-year-old domestic long-haired female. Older kids for her. Delphine, as beautiful as she is, she does have a spicy side. She really doesn't like to be picked up and held. She will rub up against you, but as far as holding her, no, she's not into that. She's a very independent girl. She likes doing her own thing. She will come up to you for attention. So we are saying older kids, I'd say 12 plus for her, just because she can be rather spicy. And she is unpredictable with the swats. I'd say no dogs for her as well. She is kind of high-strung. But, you know, she deserves a loving home just like the rest. She does like the treats. She is treat motivated. So if you'd like to meet Delphine, if you think she'd be a good fit into your home, you can give us a call at Forever Paws Animal Shelter to schedule an appointment to come down and meet her. The number's 508-677-9154. Delphine would love to meet you.
Here I have Miss Clover. Clover here is a pointer Padango is what we're going with. We're not entirely sure of her breed, but that's what we're going with. Obviously, she is a barker. She does love to bark and do that kind of stuff. She is pretty high energy, so I don't think she'd do best in an apartment type home. Little Clover here is a 10-month-old pup. So she is still really young, but she is definitely a loudmouth. She came to us as a stray from the local area, so we don't really have a background history on her. She'd love to run around and have a nice, good place to call her own.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Please vote on Tuesday. We'll see you next Thursday.